Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park Baseball 22 series with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we're starting off this next episode here in the middle of the 2022 season, actually the beginning of June here that I skipped all the way towards. We are 21-30. Actually we're playing pretty decent. We started the season 5-1. Obviously didn't keep that up. Obviously we're never going to keep that up, but did actually get out to a decent start, which was kind of interesting. And look at the index here. Expected win-loss is actually exactly 21-30. And then kind of looking at our team stats rankings here, we actually are, as expected, pretty low and everything. Our run score is actually 9th, which is actually a bit higher than I thought it was going to be. Kind of surprised at that. Our pitching has been very, very bad this year, as has our defense. I'm pretty much last in pretty much all those categories. I'm also a poor defensive team, even though we don't make many errors. Of course, our zone rating is not very good, and that will attribute to that. One thing that we are very good at, apparently, is base running now. The best team in the National League right there, and also steal quite a few bases, which isn't too surprising because we have a lot of high-speed guys. Even though I'm not a fan of taking a lot of bags, we do have a lot of guys who do have some speed and are usually worth taking the risk with the steal. And then also some big kind of injury stuff to go over. So these are the guys that we have on the shelf right now. We've been bitten by the injury bug repeatedly this season. But luckily not really anything that's too long term. Jake Bowers is down for about a month. He's been down for only about a week or so, I think. A lot of the injury stuff has been recent, which is why I decided to jump in right now, and I'll also get into a little bit later why I decided to jump in right now. Chris Stratton, he actually does have a long-term injury. Ulnar nerve entrapment, 2 months left. He's been on the shelf for quite a bit, as you can see. Only got 14 days left of his 60-day IL stint. And then Adbert Alize also had a bit of a long injury, biceps tendonitis. 3 weeks left on that, and he, as you can see just from those quick stats, 40 walks in 44 innings, not many strikeouts. He's not been very good at all, so not too much there. But getting into the performance type of things, I decided to jump in now because Jorge Solaire came back from his beginning of the season injury, and I kind of wanted to wait for him to get back so we could go over kind of how the team has changed, kind of where we are at right now in the season. So without further ado, kind of get into what we do here and look at kind of statistically how a lot of our guys have been doing to start off the season. Our catching tandem has been absolutely awesome to start the year here. Of course, our Rule 5 pick, Rodvet, who I forgot to look up how to say his name, he has improved quite a bit all the way up to 65 grade rated player. Still a lot of room to grow with his potential, of course. To be honest, I just really am kind of confused at how his potential is so high, and even his overall. He's a pretty decent hitter, a good hitter for a catcher at least, but still nothing stands out a ton. Again, he's not a fantastic defensive catcher, but he is performing, that is for sure, up to this point. The average is a decent bit lower than I'd like to see. But he's having a pretty fine season. Really good OBP there in the 350s, slugging 430s. OPS plus is 113, and that BABIP is again pretty low. So I'd expect that average to come up a bit there. So I think he's performing better than worse than he could, according to that pretty low BABIP. So even I think there's room for him to improve. Now, Jacob Stalin is kind of the other direction. He has definitely been the beneficiary of a lot of BABIP luck. You can see 438 right there is his BABIP so far in the season. 330, 348, 466 slash line right there. That is nuts. Largely due to his BABIP, although he still definitely is probably having a career year. Of course, that BABIP is very high, but even if it was about normal for him, I think his statistics probably a good bit better than he was last year. Now here's kind of I mean, our catching tandem has been pretty good, but unfortunately, pretty much everything else has been pretty terrible for us this year. And that starts off with our acquisition that we made in the offseason, that is Jaiju Ko. And he actually was on the shelf for quite a bit. He's actually not a ton of time. I think he missed about 2 to 3 weeks. And he's been pretty bad so far for us this year. Only 73 OPS plus. Of course, he's a first baseman and not a particularly good one defensively. So, we really want him and need him to perform a lot. We gave him a 3-year deal. A cheap 3-year deal, but a 3-year deal nonetheless. And yeah, he just needs to perform better. I mean, his BABIP is super low. I really need to remember to change this view so I can look at strikeout rate just like right off the bat. But I would assume it's probably not too awesome. 16% is not bad even. That's above league average, I think, or lower than league average, I should say, but of course better than league average. You get what I'm trying to say there. But one advantage to that is the man who's gotten a lot of opportunity to play because he was hurt was Colin Moran, and he's having a very good season so far. Of course, you remember from last year, he got off to a great start himself. Of course, had a career year in 2020. And this year he started off with a 290, 345, and 490 slash line, hitting well above league average. That BABIP though is again pretty high, so numbers performing a bit better than the skill that he has, but still, he's been good for us. We needed him to be good. Yeah, he spent pretty much all his time at first, only one game at third. Pretty expected. We were pretty crowded outfield, and his ratings took a dip out there since he hasn't gotten an opportunity to play. So, he's been off to a good start. Then kind of have some usual culprits here, at least for the one season that we had. Adam Fraser just continues to not hit. In fact, he's hitting worse than he was at this point last year, I think, of course. He won a Gold Glove at second base last year, continuing to play pretty good defense at second, but still, he needs to hit. This is his last year under team control. I'd really like to be able to get something of value, anything of value from him, but not quite sure if that's going to happen. One thing that is awesome to see is Kabrine Hayes. Very, very good season so far. I'd be interested to see if he wins another Gold Glove this year. Of course, he won Gold Glove and Rookie of the Year last year. But this year he has been even better, improving offensively, 281, 357, and 455 slash line. He's been awesome. You can see that compared to his stats last year. Not a big homer guy, of course. PNC is more of a pitcher's park than anything, so homers will be down. But his 6 homers actually do lead the team, which is something I find interesting. We actually have a lot of guys with 5. But still, the guy who's leading your team in homers has 6, and it's June 4th. That's you definitely are in a good team, even though we are in a more of a pitcher's park and don't really have many home run heavy hitters still. Kind of goes into the fact that we just don't have a lot of run production. Cole Tucker, of course, who pretty much was just off my radar last year, got back on it this year, and he's been pretty good for us actually. He's just been pretty much a utility infielder. Even playing a little bit of outfield, mostly spelling Newman at short. They've actually been sharing a lot of the time, and he's been good, a lot better at the plate than Newman actually. He's been a little bit above league average. I assume he probably plays a poor defensive shortstop, which is probably why his WAR is kind of low, and it is. He has been bad defensively at shortstop this year, so. Even though his infield ratings are pretty good, they're much more suited for third, definitely. But then talking about Newman here, his ratings have taken a dip. I'm pretty sure he was rated around 50 last year. Again, not a real good defensive shortstop. Last year he actually was pretty good defensively, but this is pretty much showing his true skill this year, I think. He's not a guy who strikes out a ton, but not really much else kind of in his offensive profile. Honestly might have to take a look at some of our other options there. He honestly might not even really be worth having the major league roster at this point, so gonna have to check that out in the next episode or two. See if we can find someone on waivers, or we just have someone else in our organization that I think would possibly be better. Brian Reynolds, same deal as Adam Fraser. Actually not really hitting as poorly as he was last year, I guess. Still, I mean, not awesome. I mean, still not hitting for much power at all. Getting on base a little bit more, but I mean, that's really kind of about it. Again, he can only play left field, which hurts. We've actually played him one game in center field this year. But, yeah, I mean, he's under team control for a while, so hopefully he can figure something out at least. And then Jorge Solaire has kind of been a huge producer in only the 14 games that he's played in. And only started 10 of them. Already has 5 homers, of course. Team lead is 6. And he's been hitting for huge power that time. Again, I said lots of homers. His bat is really low. I'm pretty pleased with what he's done so far. He, of course, has about 2 months left to really prove himself and really hammer it out before the trade deadline. And of course, he's not a good defensive outfielder, but all he's here for is to basically hit homers for us again. And hopefully he can do a lot more of that, so we can flip him for something of value at the deadline. And then another guy who has been pretty surprising here, picked up Ender Inciarte as a center field option. And you'll notice that Anthony Alford's just not up anymore. That's because I DFA'd him just because he was doing nothing at the plate. And Ender Inciarte was actually playing very well and continues to play very well. Leads our team with 9 stolen bases. Really good. He's pretty much been our second best offensive player. I mean, he's been our best offensive player, but he just hasn't gotten the kind of game time that even Colin Moran and especially Kabrine Hayes have gotten. But he's been awesome. I mean, OVP over 400. He's been hitting at the top of our lineup pretty much every game he started. And he's really produced, so, maybe we could flip him for something. I'm not quite sure how much the trade logic puts performance into it over ratings, but he's definitely a guy that I look to deal. Of course, he's on a 1-year deal. So, definitely a chance we get something for him. And speaking of the rest of our outfielders, so we have Esteban Floreal, who we picked up in the Rule 5 draft, who has been absolutely terrible. Absolutely fantastic defensive right fielder, and I mean, he just can't do anything. He's starting right field now that Bowers is hurt. Honestly, probably going to mix it around just to get Reynolds in every day. I mean, Reynolds doesn't have an arm, so I probably will just have to play Solaire in right field. Just because, but I guess really doesn't matter because he's equally bad in left and right. And I guess his arm's much better than Reynolds. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and do that now and slot him in there so we can avoid having Floreal give them any ABs. I mean, I like him potential-wise still, but I definitely did not expect him to perform this poorly in his time on the Major League team so far. And so that's going to do it for hitting, and then I'm going to go ahead and take a look at pitching here. Actually, a lot of kind of in and out. Of course, it's always that way on waivers, usually with pitching in the bullpen. Lots of guys getting waived, lots of guys getting claimed by teams, and lots of movement in general. And the first guy here that you can see is Alex Claudio, who we just picked up off waivers. Only 4 innings with the team. Actually, no innings with the team so far. All of those have been with Washington so far, who he was with before they waived him. And then the other guy we picked up is Kyle Dewey here, or Dewey, however you say it. And he actually has gotten some time with Pittsburgh here, and these guys are both kind of interesting. Dewey has really good stuff, not much control, pretty similar to Kawasaki's ratings there, actually really similar. And Claudio, of course, is a ground ball specialist. He's been around for a while. And then really other than that, pretty much everyone else has been pretty average. Hartley, this is a guy who I would have thought was going to perform much better, but still struggling. His FIP is a lot higher than his, or a decent bit higher. Not striking out as many guys as I would like. He is an extreme ground ball guy, but his ratings, his ground ball tendency, just it seems like he'd be a much better pitcher than he is, than he's performing. So hopefully he can get it together, because I'd really like to see him be something. Kind of the surprise of the year has been Cody Bolton. He's got a sub-3 ERA. Again, not a good FIP. Not really. Actually, I was about to say he's not really a strikeout pitcher, but he is striking out 10 guys per 9. He's walking a decent clip of guys, and he also is allowing a ton of homers, which is really the theme with a lot of guys here. At the top FIP-wise for us, and especially Kawasaki, who, I mean, that's just been his kryptonite. He's been excellent other than that. I mean, walks a lot of guys, but that's whatever. He's a reliever, and he's been striking out a ton of guys, so homers have been pretty big kryptonite for us this year. Other than that, kind of the rest of our rotation, Brubaker, Brawl, Paxton, all pretty much the same, again, in that kind of meh territory. About replacement level, Paxton actually has a pretty good ERA. Hopefully we can flip him. Of course, he's on that 1 year with a player option deal in the second year, and he was also on the show for a bit, but I mean, you can see his career is pretty much I mean, he has had a huge fall off even from last year. I mean, 28 walks and 34 strikeouts. He's just kind of surviving out there at this point. Not really been good. Javi Guerra here, actually a guy whose ERA is worse than his FIP. Kind of a mess season from him as well. Just kind of one of the placeholders in our bullpen. Of course, we picked him off of waivers last year. Son Poppin, kind of same deal. He had that shoulder bursitis injury last year, I believe, and now he's a backup. He's been good. The best pitcher on our team by far this entire year has been Mitch Keller, and he actually is a legitimate starting pitcher. Of course, lots of team control left. I actually think his ratings are pretty good. 2 very solid pitches, 2+ pitches in that fastball and curveball. Also throws a pretty good slider and changeup. So he's pretty legit. He is no doubt the best pitcher on our roster. Definitely going to keep him around for a while longer. He's been very impressive so far in the save, at least. Ratings wise, I think he's not really the highest rated guy, but he's going to be a consistent, good starting pitcher that you can count on to get you innings, which is really good to see. And then Richard Rodriguez and Blake Wyman haven't really pitched too much this year, but when they have, they've been really effective. Wyman has been up the whole year, and Rodriguez has pretty much had a few ongoing injuries. He's been on minor stints to the IL a couple times, and that's really limited his innings, but he of course has been pretty good in those innings, which his ratings have pretty much tanked since we started the save, but still he's fine. Of course, don't really think a lot of these pitchers will be in our organization for much longer, and that kind of said, that's the kind of recap so far in the season. Just because the draft isn't quite yet, I think I'm just going to leave this one as kind of a performance review episode. I'm kind of starting the season, and then we'll have a big episode next round with the draft, with the trade deadline, hopefully getting an international guy or two. And I did kind of slowly go through a lot of the team performances here, so don't want to make these videos too long. Want to try to get them out and keep them pretty short. So again, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the series, and hopefully I'll be posting some MLB The Show 21 content soon. Haven't really had time to do that, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next episode.